So hi everybody and welcome back to C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 182 and in this video we continue with our exercise. And yeah, we stopped there where we created a class for our person, and this person realized that there are many cars on the streets, and that's why he won't use a traffic light. And let me start this program so you will see where we stopped again. So here first we provide some information, in this case the name, coder, then the gender, for example male in this case, and here is our simulation text, which means we are using the informations, and here we are including this information to our simulation text. And it says here coder is walking on the sidewalk and decided to cross the street. You can see at start it's just a person, a random person, and now because we provided here this information, oops, let's put this here. So we provided here this information, it's not a random person now, it's just the person which you provided. And here's the simulation text. It says here coder is walking on the sidewalk and decided to cross the street. Then we provide again a little bit text here. Then he decided to cross the street, but before he can decide cross the street, he checks if there are many cars on the street. And then you can see the information which we are providing is, are there many cars on the street? And then you have to say as a PC user yes or no. We say yes because we want to use the traffic lights. And then the next one we have is coder see many cars on the street. This is our next simulation text. See many cars on the streets, so he decided to use the traffic lights. All right, and now we have to create a class for the traffic lights because the person here won't use the traffic lights. So because there are many cars on the streets, so he wants that the traffic light turns to green, the cars are stopping, and he can cross the street. That's his plan, and that's our plan as well to make this happen. All right. That's nice. And before we go on, let me show you one thing what I changed here in our last class. We created here the person class, and I just changed here this little part here. I created here two gender pronoun variables because I need the same gender pronoun one time with capital letters when we start a sentence, and one time with no capital letters when the simulation tag when the sentence is not at the start. And this one I just created these two variables. I made them here in the public section, and then I can access them, depends on the sentence, if I'm at the start or in the middle. That's it. And now we are going to create our traffic lights, because we won't use it, right? So for this case, I already provided here something, but I make this from scratch and explain it step by step, and the same goes here. And this was the point where we stopped, and now we have to check the traffic lights, because here one more thing, when the person comes here, we have to check first if the traffic light is green or red, because depends on that we will push here the traffic light button or not, because if it's green we are just going over the street, if it's red we push the button, wait that it switched to green, and then we go over the street. That's so our plan. Let's do this. First of all, we need a class traffic lights. Let's create this very easy, class traffic lights, and we have it. Then we need the next thing is we have to check this lights, right? If it's red or green, let's do it. All right, we create a variable. Let's call them as it is string in my case, very simple, and I called them traffic light color. You can color, and I give them here already a default value which I want use. That's this value you can set later too, depends on functions and so on. In my case, I made it very simple, and I want to make this public because keep in mind, if you don't specify an access specifier, is private, but I want to access this variable outside of the class, which is in my simulation text here. It's not in the class, and if it's not in the class, you should make this public. And here a fast reminder. Sometimes there are private variables. You can access them outside of a class too. How is this possible? Very easy. Or let's say not so easy. You have to do create an additional function. You create a getter and a setter. You know, this is a normal function which is just returning returning a value, and actually it is just returning the variable which you want. And let me show you this here. I have already created here a little demonstration. You can see what's that? I don't know. So you can see here this traffic lights color, exactly the same here. Traffic lights color. The only difference, it's private here. I think I have set here something like, let me change this one here fast. I don't know why this but it's okay now. All right. So again, here, this is the variable, but this time it's just private, and to access this outside of the class, what you can do, you can create a normal function, and this normal function must be public, because this function you have to call outside, and this function is returning a private variable here, this one here, which you could not access outside. This is a one way how you can even access from outside private variables. There are other ways probably too, but yeah, keep in mind, this is just a normal function. Most time they call getter, setter, or sometimes just get and set, depends on style. But important is that you know they exist, and you should make them if you want use private variables instead of public variables. In general, one more rule: public variables you should try to avoid as much as possible. Can cause problems, depends, not all time, but can cause problems. That's why they prefer private variables, but then you have to access it this way. But in my case, I make it just public because it is just a fast call and it's not very difficult. All right, you have to read this a little bit more in comment in best practices, what why to use private, why to use public, and so on. But yeah, we continue. I make it here the easy way. I just write it public, because when I create now a variable, I can access this variable here from the class. And let's do this, by the way. And here you can see my main. I changed here also a little bit. Here on top, I put in the programming parts, and here I wrote the simulation of our little picture. And the reason for that is just to make it a little bit organized, so it's not all over the place. And here I create now another object. Let's create this one. Let's call here this lights, this traffic lights. I create this one here. This point, perhaps here are the objects, and there are just other calls. You can make this like you want. Let's make it below, because this comes next. Let's call this traffic lights. Here's the class, our new type. Let's call this, let's see, I have here a name, traffic light simulation. Let's call this traffic light simulation, traffic light simulation, and that's it. And you can see, let's make it so. And you can see we have here no parentheses or no round brackets with arguments, because we have here no constructor. The compiler will again provide us a default constructor, and we can create here this variable just normal. And because this one is public, I can use now this variable and access it. And let's go to our simulation. So here I want now the next simulation step, which is, let's uncomment this one. This is my next simulation step, uncomment. And it says here just a normal simulation text. It says here this person, whichever it is, let's say coder in this case, realize that the traffic light is, and then you have use the traffic light. In my case, it's right. I have provided a default value here, and I have to call it. And how I call it, let's delete this one. It's anything is wrong there, but you call it like normal. Use the variable name here. You copy it, you paste it in. then the dot because it's not a pointer, and then you can see here I can access it. And yeah, this is my simulation text for the next one. And you can see when I start this one is, well, first of all, before I start, what happens here is, let's see. Now, what's going on? Again, here is it. So what's going on here is that the person, which is coder, realized that the traffic light is, so he's checking out this traffic light is, and then the state, in our case, it's the default state, it's red. Right, this is our next simulation step. When I start this to check this, if all works, if there is anything wrong, we can see coder, for example, mail, yes. And here is our simulation text. Actually, it's free because the first one was here, the second one is here, and the third one is here. And he says coder realizes that the traffic light is red. And depends on this traffic light red, we have to do something, right? Because we want to cross the street, the traffic light is red, and now I have to push the traffic light button so that the traffic light is switching to green. Let's do this. Very simple. What we are doing is, let me uncomment this one here, because this is the next step, uncomment. You can see I have here again a simulation text. It says therefore, and then I say person in simulation. This is the, again, just the person in simulation again, which is our first function, first class person, and then I use here this gender pronoun, no capital letter. You can see that what I told you before. I need this capital letter, and no capital letter depends on the text position. And you can see the text position here is now not at the start of a sentence, it's in the middle of the sentence. So therefore, he or she, that will replace with he or she, pushes the traffic light button, right? Because it is red. Now I push the traffic light button because I want that it switch to green so I can cross the road. That's so my goal. And here you can already see we need a function. Let's create this function because the function should do something. Let's see what, I don't know what. So here we can make it a little bit more readable. Let's call it here variables. Let's make here a functions perhaps. Let's call this here functions. And let's paste this in. This is the function which I want to create. This is person push button, but of course I don't know if I need a return value. Is this true? No, that's not true. I know if I need a return value. How I know I need a return value? When you have something like that, then you know you need a return value because it is integrated in the simulation text here. You can't use in cout a function call, I think without a return value, because this one is asking for a string. Of course, you can overload this kind of stuff, but let's say as a starter, if you use it here, you need a return value. All right, so this one is not true. I need a return value, and the return value in my case is here for displays a string. How I know this? Because we have not talked in deep about this, but this cout is expecting that we are putting here a string, and it starts all times with quotation marks and then a text. And yeah, we need a string here. So let's make here return type std string. So far so nice. And I need here a little bit more things. Looks good. I don't know why this looks so strange. And with that said, we need a text here. I press the press push button. Yes, nice. But what happens then? What happens then? Pushes the traffic light button, and then we need this text, a replacing text here, the string, right? That's why we have this return value here. That's the whole reason why we have here a return value. So we need to write here returned, and then we have to write the text, the simulation text. What happens here? Let me see what I wrote there, by the way. Push the button, and I did something like this one. me copy this one. So you can see I'm a little bit, so you can see this return is the same like here. Instead I use now this return here, and you can see I return, and this return text here, this string will be passed here, this one will be passed here, and this text here we have later here at this position, right? This will be replaced by that. And I say here, and after some seconds the light turns green. So the whole thing is here that some seconds later the light turns green. That's why I pushed it. That was the reason why I pushed the traffic light button. That makes sense. And here is one more thing. The state of the traffic light is red at start by default. But now here with this text we get a new info. The light turns green. Then you have to change the state of this variable. You have to make it here set to green. I don't know if I need this variable, but important is at this point, or let's say after this point, it is green till it is switching back to red again. But after this point it is green, so you have to set it to green. Okay, that's good. So now we have only called this function the right way, and the right way is just using this variable here. Let's call this copy and paste it here. And we have a problem, right? No, it's not a problem. Person push button, it's not a problem. I thought we have a problem because I thought it was in private, but it was not. What I wanted to show you is normally here we have not specified an access specifier, and here I have public, but this public counts till you define another access specifier. So this is okay, but yeah, keep this in mind that you sometimes there could be anyone assigned here a private, then you have still to assign this one public to make it sure that this works. But in this case it's not necessarily needed, because yeah, just keep in mind that you have specified how you want it. In my case I need it public. The reason is, again, I want to use it outside of class. You can see I'm getting it outside of the class. All right, with that said, we have now the light is switching to green, and then we have to make one more step, right? We have just to cross the street. Let's do this. Comment this uncomment. This is the simulation 5. Then I say after all cars stop, because the simulation is like so that first you have still to check all the cars stop. Here, this one, you could also save, provide as information. For example, are all cars stopping? But normally they stop. That's why I skip this part and say after all cars stopped, and then person in simulation name, whoever this person we assign, for example coder, is crossing the street. And yeah, that's it. So this last part is just easy because we almost did nothing. And when I start now the program, and let's make it this time not with coder, because I said this coder is just one person which we specify. But let's say I specify another person, for example Wonder Woman. It's a female, and now here the simulation starts. Wonder Woman is walking on the sidewalk, and she decided to cross the street. Here the she and Wonder Woman was included from the information. And then are there many cars on the street? Because she checks if there are, you say yes, and now our simulation ran through and says Wonder Woman see many, so this one is included, see many cars on the street. So this one is included. The only thing here is C, which was provided. So this one decided to use the traffic lights. Let me show you this part here. Which part is this one? So this one is first. This is this one here. This one is second. This is this part here. You can see the whole second part, the only word C was provided and all other things are included. All right, then let's go to the third part. So here, the third part, Wonder Woman realized that the traffic light is red. So here, this is the third part, and you can see here, realize that the traffic light, so here, this part is only here, other things, oops, here. The other things are provided, we made it again. And then here, therefore, you can see here, therefore, and this she here, again with capital letters or not capital letters, like I said before, depends where it is. We use that here, and then that's the part 4. Therefore, she pushes the traffic light button, and after some seconds, the light turns green. And that was our function here. And here, the last part, you can see it here, is after all the cars stop, Wonder Woman is crossing the street. And this is our little simulation. And with that said, it's not finished. If you say now it's finished, it's not finished, because you have to check one more state. Which was this? This was this no state. What is the no state? So when I say here, for example, coder again, and say mail, and what happens if I press here? No, there is no cars, which means I just crossed the street. And you see this one pops up, and that should not pop up, because then I need another text and I need to skip all this part here, right? It's actually not too difficult. What we can do is now, this we can handle here in our sequence. We can say, if we press N, where we press N, by the way, we go here, we get asked, and we get asked traffic check. So we get asked here. This is up from this point. We get asked, and this, all this here, we put in a if, and then we make here this, it was pressed N, then we provide another solution, and if it was yes, we provide this solution. So you can see this is very easy to solve. And I use now this snippet. What you can use mark all the parts which you want enclosed to a if. So I want enclose all these parts to in a if. Right click, I go here to where is this again? Snippets, surround with, and then here is a not if def, careful, if def is something else, we need just a if. And now it is the if. Okay, I think that was not so worth it, but yeah, still fast when you make it fast. So, and now we have to set this condition in the right way. So this condition I need here from this result of this traffic check. So the traffic check result, I go here to the traffic check. The result of the traffic check is very important. And here I yes and input read. So this input read here will become yes, or this input read will become no. And here at this point, where is this? I need this input read. The problem is this input read is what? You can see it. Here at this point, it is local. What we have to do, we need to make it global, because now I need it. Before it was fine in a local state. Now let's go and put it in a global state, which means I just put it out here. Very easy solution. Let's go, and I mean not in a global state, careful, I said it again wrong. In a class in the variable section for public, I mean, so not local to this function. Let's say it this way. Global means not in a class actually, so I say it all time wrong, but you understand what I mean, right? Outside of a local state here, so outside of a function, so that I can get it important as well public, because now I need the state. Now after this point here, I can call person, I can call input read at this point here where I made my if. So let's write here person dot, no, that was the wrong, sorry. Of course I need here the person created variable, not the class itself. So the person variable, it is called here in my case person in simulation. All right, person in simulation, this one dot, and here is now this input read, I think was it. a bad name, makes no sense. You see, this name, what I named here, is a very bad variable name, because when you read it, you have still no clue what it is. Input read name. Should we change this? I think we change this because it's so bad. And variable names should be very good. And the reason for that is you won't read it one time and don't think and try to decipher it, right? So I can't let this happen. Input read. Let's make this a little bit more better. And I have to change, I have to change it in all places. There is a trick how you can change all this at once, but I don't know the shortcut again. Let's keep this input read for this purpose, but in general, don't make something like this a very bad name here. Input read, let's go on. So we have to do this one, and we compare this. And we compare this to what? So we have to say if this one is n, because we can have here just at this point we will get here a return value. Where is that? Yeah. Where is that? No, here. Assign. What's this here? So we will have here say yes and no, right? These two options we have. So I can compare this one to this one. It's very easy. I say no. If this was a no, which means this is wrong, I have to make it for yes, because I see there are many cars. Then this sequence should happen. And the other case is else. We can make here again a else if we want, or else. You can make just a else if, or if. We make a else if, because we can make also wrong inputs. We have ignored in this whole example the case that we can put in wrong inputs. That's a bad thing, but that would take too much time now. But I hope you still think about it, that you should normally correct the input or make a try-catch block or anything so that the input is all time valid. But in our case, in my case, not in our case, in my case, I skipped it. I hope you skipped it, not in your case, for training purposes. So, and here I write just again person simulation. Of course, I could just write here also else, but I want probably make one more state, which is n. Let's make this one. And here, yeah, of course, careful. I made here just an assignment, not an equal sign. And now I made an equal sign, which is not an equal sign. All right, so with that said, let's see. This one, and here I say now the output of what happens if there is no, let's see how I can make this fast. So here I check decide to cross the street, see no cars on the street. So let's write here something like as today. This is a simulation text again. No, what I'm doing here. Std out. So and now I use now this gender pronoun here, because I don't know if it's a she or he, or we can use the name if we want, but let's use the gender pronoun so that you can see what I mean why I created this one. So, and then person in simulation again dot gender, capital no capital letter, because it's not the sentence here. So this one crosses the street. Cross the street. Cross the street. It's not very spectacular what I write here. Cross the street. Crosses, perhaps here. Crosses. Crosses, okay. Crosses the street. So with that said, I think it could work. I'm not sure if it work. So let's make this fast. And here coder is trying to cross, and now I make a n. and you can see Coder see no cars on the street, so he just crosses the street, or she just so he just she just walks over the street, or I don't know if this is right in English, but I hope but you will make it better, I hope. So that's it. So you can see now, let's test it one more time with the other solution. Let's make here Wonder Woman. Let's make here F. Let's write here N2. Wonder Woman see no cars on the street, so she crosses the street. So all right, that's okay. Perhaps here one more formatting thing. Here a new line. And with that said, I think I make now my final test with the other version, which is Coder again. Mail, yes, and here is our sequence. Coder see many cars on the street, so he decided to use the traffic lights. Yes, he see many cars, so he decided to use the traffic lights. Coder realized that the traffic light is red. Yes, this traffic light is red. Therefore, he pushes the traffic lights button. Yes, he pushes this one, and after some seconds, the lights turn green. So the light turn here green for him. And then let's see, so after all cars stopped, Coder is crossing the street. Yeah. First he checked if all cars are stopping, and after all cars stopped, Coder, the person here, is just crossing the street. So I think that's it. So my grammar is absolute bad, I know. My English is bad, but I hope your English is good enough to make a very nice text. All right, but we are not learning English here, right? We are learning here programming. I hope that your program worked better than mine. And yeah, we are not finished with this exercise, by the way. And the reason for that is not because the exercise is not finished. The exercise is indeed finished. I mean, we have simulated now this little program here, what you can see, but I want to show you the more difficult parts. What I mean with that is, you can see here in my class, which I created, this little traffic light. This is a class which is the bare minimum, and it's in a practical way the right way to do it, because you want just create only that what is needed for your program. So don't throw in anything what you not like. You can see I have here no constructor, I have here no other things what we learned and all this kind of stuff, but I won't repeat them. So I will go on with this exercise and make this little class what we have here more complicated. And in this class, here is a big mistake, by the way, as well. And it is not, and the mistake is, it is not const friendly, which means if anyone is passing this class as an argument and the function is turns this one in a const and tries to access this function here, it's not possible because this one is not const. We learned this, right? And all this kind of stuff I want to talk in the next video, in the next exercise. So I want just to show you this class again, but we make it a little bit more complicated. And yeah, but the simulation works like this. And the reason why I make this class not so complicated from start, the reason for that is, like I said before, you should try when you create classes, only put in the class what you really need. So don't put anything else in the class which is not related to the class. So you can see in my simulation, I needed just this traffic light, I needed just this button. Then you put, then you're just using this two kinds of stuff. All other stuff you don't use, right? You just kick them out. That's the point. So don't waste time to create here not associated functions, not associated variables, and just blow up the class and yeah, make it unreadable actually, and also not very useful. All right, I think I stop here with this little exercise. I hope you did it very better, much better than me, because my exercise is here very little, not too complicated, I hope. And really, I hope you trained this use of classes, this variables again. And I hope you made use a constructor. You can see I have not even used one time a constructor, but in the next video I will use a constructor and show you all this constatic, all this kinds of stuffs there too, because then I show you how you can make all things complicated, which is not all the time a good idea. All right, with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints, write it in the comments, and I hope you did it much better than me. And if you did it not much better than me, don't worry, that's why we make this exercises, to train it. That's the reason why we make it, because we are not good, we want to become good. Don't forget this, just try it, and like all time, try to solve your errors, because this is one of the best things you can do as a programmer. And by the way, this is a part of a programmer in the future. You will try to fix bugs, and the more training you have in finding errors, the better you are later as a programmer. Just as a very big and nice hint. With that said, I stop this video. See you in the next. Bye. Good luck. And like all time, never give up.